Quick note, this video is intended to be an overview video. Because of that, I cannot go into every variation of every reason someone has for supporting a theory. That kind of stuff, leave it for the comments. This video is intended to give the average viewer the background knowledge they need in order to talk about this theory. Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk some My Hero Academia, and this time we're going to talk Traitor theories. So the topic of the Traitor is one of the biggest topics in My Hero Academia in terms of the mysteries. It's something that people engage in, it's something that's pretty fun. So what we're going to do in these videos, and I say these videos because I want to make this into some type of a series, but in these videos we're going to go through the prominent Traitor theories, and I'm going to give my personal thoughts about the theory and also explain it to anyone who's not aware of the theory, just what the general rationale for each theory is and whether or not it's something that I think could be realistically possible. Now with the Traitor theories, the most interesting things is finding out just what exactly people are using as their evidence. That's one of the more fun aspects of the Traitor theories. So I hope you guys enjoy going through these, and I hope you guys, I guess, either jump onto a theory or pick it apart even more than I will. So we can see who's on the screen already. It's going to be Kaminari. We're just going to talk about Kaminari. We're going in for the biggest theory, or I guess, well, I think it's the biggest theory, but I would call it the poster boy of the Traitor theories because this one has been around for quite a time, and it's one of the more fun ones as well. So we're going to be looking at an image over at a website. This is like the poster boy of the Traitor theory images. This is I feel like to some degree it's a bit absurd, but it has some pieces of logic that people are actually jumping onto. One thing I do want to preface first is that when it comes to the Kaminari Traitor theory in particular, this is one where people are more jumping in for I guess the effect of it, how funny it would be, because a big part of the theory, or at least people wanting the theory to be true, a big part of that is because the idea of Kaminari actually being smarter and the whole thing that he goes stupid after he uses electricity, the idea that that's all an act, that idea is very alluring for a lot of people, and people have jumped onto the theory just for the potential of that scenario. And truthfully, I feel as well, it's a pretty funny scenario, the idea that Kaminari one day just uses electricity, and when he's gonna screw people over, he shows, oh no, I'm not that stupid. Anyway, let's just get into it. Let's start this off. In order to organize the video, we're gonna cover all the rationales that can be found in the anime first, and then cover the currently manga only rationales second. So anime only viewers, you can dip out of the video once I'm about to hit the manga stuff. So the first rationale for the Kaminari Traitor theory, Kaminari was the one who was jamming the signal at USJ. So quick recap, the villains attacked, alarms were not going off, people could not be communicated, and Kaminari could not get in contact with the outside world. This, along with Todoroki's analysis, led to the idea that someone with electromagnetic waves was jamming signals. Later, Jiro confronts who she thinks it might have been, a villain with an electric type quirk. So the idea here hinges on the fact the villain didn't confirm Jiro's guess. Readers took that as a confirmation to the possibility, which sounds kind of silly, right? Why should bad guys have to give away info, right? This first rationale is one that is there to justify that events could have happened. It could have been that Kaminari was the one doing it for the simple reason that he has the capability to do it, and because no one gave hard verbal confirmation that someone else did it. Of course, when you look at the situation, there is one more person that could have been jamming that signal, but no one takes her seriously. This, however, lets us segue into the second rationale. Kaminari is a traitor because of Kaminari's capabilities. This is the idea that Kaminari is hiding what he can do and how intelligent he is. The climax of this rationale is, of course, that it gives us a situation that reveals that Kaminari doesn't go stupid when he uses his quirk too much and lets him do major damage. But on a lower level, as we'll see later, a lot of the theory comes back to Kaminari's capabilities. This is a case where the possibility that he is able to do something is implicating the character. But to finish up this one, there have been cases that make you go, what? Such as this wall of text Kami said to Bakugo. Look at this incredible line of, or not line, actually this is a run-on sentence. It's only been a brief while since our socialization has commenced, and yet already we have been made apathetically cognizant of your personality, redolent as it is of a turd getting steamed in a sewer. Apologies for my slow reading there. In the anime, this was less pronounced, but given what we know about Kaminari, this was a bit of an out-of-character moment, although after discussing with people on the Discord server, they did mention that we do know that Kaminari's strong suit was language, so this might have been an out-of-character moment for the character, or it might have been something bigger. Like, geez, man. Let's move on to the third rationale. Kaminari's a traitor because he was designed to be villainous. So this rationale revolves around the drawings the author has made of him. The first, where he has a really weird face, which people then played with. And then they would point out that if you actually mirrored that, you'd get a very evil face. I thought that was funny. That's some pretty hilarious reasoning to me. And if anything, I do think, yeah, that's kind of odd. That's a kind of odd facial choice, but yeah, it's not a big deal. It's just Kaminari smiling like a creep. Not a big deal, but it's funny, and it does make things slightly more suspicious. And then the fact he had a sketchy preliminary design. We had this initial sketch for Kaminari from the author with the caption that it's too villainous looking, and people would take, oh yeah, since his proto design was that of a villain, Kaminari was the traitor. Alright, that's reasonable. But it falls apart when you consider that there's another character who kind of went through the same design process, and that was Izuku. Izuku was also designed to be a little bit more villainous, and that idea ultimately had to be scrapped. So that point, it's a really circumstantial point, especially when there's other characters that have done it, or especially when there's been other characters who had preliminary designs that looked a little bit more villainous. Fourth rationale, here we go. Kaminari is the traitor because he thought Stain was cool. So this is a case where we're trying to implicate him based on thought process. Now this was one of the biggest deals because it was kind of celebrating the guy that really messed up a bunch of students. If anything, it kind of told you Kaminari didn't know how to read the situation, and we got to see that later on with his little reaction there. But the idea here being that thinking that this guy is cool means that Kaminari is possibly evil. I don't know, that's kind of a weird type of assumption, right? Because what you see here is pretty much Kaminari had the reaction that the average fan had to Stain, and what ultimately happens is that you're villainizing that type of reaction. Remember, Kaminari lives in the world of heroes. Seeing someone like Stain is a novelty. And when you think of the average reader thinks Stain is really cool because he stands for something. And that's exactly what Ida's referring to as well. He's a man of conviction. He has a tenacity. He was after his thing. And another thing to also recognize was that Stain in that video was caught saving Izuku. So he had redeemable qualities. The idea here though being Kaminari thinks Stain is cool, that might imply that he is traitorous. Okay, so that's as much as we got for the anime stuff. Anime onlys, now is the time to get out unless you want some spoilers. Okay, so moving into one of the biggest events that people use to implicate Kaminari, the attack on the summer camp. And this is a rationale that again revolves around Kaminari's capabilities. It was previously established that Kaminari could communicate with the world by using tools. This led to people saying that he was pretty much a GPS that the villains could home in on. Some rationales, such as the one in the Awesome Theory image, go on to say that since he is the only one that can do that, he is the only one that can give away the position, and that is largely in question. First, let's recognize this rationale at base tries to qualify that Kaminari should be suspected because he has the capability to give away the location, with some extensions saying that he should be further suspected because he's the only one with said capability. Well, that extension is questionable. For one, he isn't the only one with that capability in that same arc. For example's sake, Momo creates a GPS system and they're very small and easy for her to make. Of course, no one will suspect Momo because we clearly saw she was on the hero side for this run, of course, unless she's playing some crazy mind game. While, of course, Kaminari was tucked away from danger, his apparent safety being the other bit of context that people would use to implicate him. Back on topic though, later on, President Mike told us straight up that any student with a cell phone could give away the position. So if you were trying to argue for this point using the basis that only Kaminari had the means, you're flat out incorrect. There have been multiple instances that show us Kaminari is not the only one with that capability. If you were to argue, however, given the previous evidence that Kaminari is the most likely one of the bunch to give it away, you'd be making a much safer argument. Like if you're already on the Kaminari is a traitor boat, you're already questioning the character enough such that this incident only adds more fuel to the fire. And then we have other little miscellaneous pieces of evidence that people like to bring up, such as this scene right here when the kids were sleeping before the attack. They noticed that one person was missing and that, you know, there were other little guys. Joy Boy Theories did a great video on this, explaining that this was a misunderstanding because there was a light novel, I believe, that was set out at this time, and that the person underneath the pillows was Kaminari, and the person that was missing was Ida. So this was at that point in time circumstantial evidence, and really shouldn't have been followed now that we have a direct confirmation what actually happened. Another point that people went on when it came to Kaminari and talking about his sense was when we were looking at the rooms. People made the observation that, people built off of the observation that the girls made, that he just threw in whatever he managed to get his hands on, and then Kaminari freaked out saying he thought it looked good. The idea here being that Kaminari was trying to mimic what a normal boy would be doing. Again, you're putting in a lot of thought to justify the little observations that other characters are making. It could be on the mark, but this kind of investigation into the character's sense of aesthetics, I don't know. It's a bit of a question mark. And even when you look here, there is some degree of, I wish I could say there's some degree of uniformity, but he has skateboards. He has a lot of skateboards. He has ping pong paddles, most likely because he thought he's going to be living in a dorm with all his friends. He wants to have this around. He has a dartboard. Again, he's living in a dorm with all his friends. He probably wants to have entertainment in his room. Like, I don't know. I think about it from the perspective of a guy who's going to, I guess, living in dorms, and he might be excited about having friends around. This kind of setup, for everyone that is able to justify that this is suspicious, there's another person that's able to justify that this is not that bad. One more thing that people did jump on though was this scene right here. They made the note that everyone who's not wearing uniforms are all wearing white, and Kaminari was wearing black. As you can hear, it's a bit of a stretch, especially because in the next scene there's another girl wearing just black and not her uniform. So the idea here was that he was wearing black, he's the only one here. That's the sign that he is a traitor. But that logic kind of falls flat if you consider that Ochako is also doing the same on the girl side. It's just one of those things. This does, however, open up the possibility that Ochako is also a traitor, but that's another traitor theory for another day. Anyway, that's pretty much it. That said, if you were to look at the Kaminari traitor theories, these are the bullet points of what you're going to see in almost all theories. It's going to be the idea that Kaminari is smarter than he seems, and then there's going to be a few scenes going in there to justify that conclusion. It's going to be Kaminari's admiration of Stain and that questioning his motives. It's going to be the way that the author drew Kaminari in preliminary designs. It's going to be the idea that Kaminari was the one that gave away the kid's location because he is a GPS apparently, and he's the only one that can do that, although that's been discredited. And people are ultimately going to argue for like the idea that Kaminari is more than he seems, and that one day he will come out of nowhere and show people that he actually doesn't go stupid when he uses his electricity, and that's going to be a gigantic moment and just a shocking event. But guys, that's the Kaminari traitor theory, the basics, the gist, the walkthrough. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any other pieces of evidence that you want to put forward for Kaminari, and till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day. Thanks for watching.